the two schools. So I'm thinking I'm most likely going to go to Sarah. It's right next to my house. They're going to,
Tom Brady's from Sarah?
Tom Brady did go to Sarah. Yeah. So I was going to go to Tom Brady's high school, or so I thought.
Yeah.
I get to the state tournament, and two of my ex-teammates, now, but who weren't my teammates then, who were just my boys that I always see at tournaments. They go, hey, we heard you're transferring. What's the word on that? And I tell them, they're like, no, you're going to come to Reardon. And Reardon's in San Francisco, right next to City College, literally right across the street. And I was like, what do you mean I'm going to go to Reardon? They're like, we already put the word in that you're transferring. And if you really want to come, we'll have all the paperwork done by Monday. I'm like, okay, let's get it done. Let's make it happen. Like, if you're going to succeed, it's going to be at Reardon. We have the best program at the time, respectfully. So I ended up making the transfer. But before I even made the transfer, the coaches didn't know if I was serious, if I was actually going to transfer there, because my paperwork hadn't gone through, this and that. So I'm just like waiting for my paperwork to go through. I'm eager. So they're not even putting their hands on me until they're certain that I'm transferring there. Boom. The paperwork finally gets through. They're like, all right, cool, let's get to work. Let's get to work and just watch how your game evolves. Keep in mind, Reardon's in San Francisco. I'm living in San Mateo, and I'm commuting to school every day because my parents couldn't take me to school. So I'm taking Caltrain and BART, and people who know what Caltrain and BART are, they know how long the ride could be to the city. I would take Caltrain from San Mateo to Millbrae, and then I'd hop off in Millbrae and take BART from Millbrae to San Francisco. I'd get off on Geneva, then I'd walk up the hill, take a right on Frida Kahlo, and boom, I'm at school every day. Same thing on the way back. I would leave, take BART, take Caltrain, or take BART and take the bus. 2-hour commute there, 2-hour commute back every day.
Wow.
But in the midst of that, I was just school, wrestling, that's it. And granted, my junior year, Reardon was an all-boys school until my junior year.
But it's a good school.
Great school. So it was an all-boys school until my junior year. I had no distractions. I just strictly
Wait,
just
so now
worked.
it's not an all-boys school.
So my senior year, we went co-ed.
Oh, wow. Let's get into that. So all these college teams, high school teams, did it help you get the girls? Some people may want to know.
It's a plus. I would say it's definitely a plus.
What would help more, money or college wrestling or high school wrestling?
Confidence.
Oh, okay. So you're saying this goes back to, doesn't matter what you have, if you believe in yourself, you're going to get it.
That's how you hold yourself at the end of the day.
So let's sum it up to where the original question was, why did you leave or why did you quit wrestling?
Funny. So I finished off my career at Reardon. I was ranked the highest. I was ranked 20th, top 20 in the state of California by the end of my junior year. So I was super excited about my senior year. Didn't have it because of COVID. Boom. So I was getting lightly recruited by colleges across the nation, but not as much as I would have liked because it got shut down because of COVID. So I wasn't able to put myself out there like that. So I ended up going to Menlo College, which is here in Atherton. And I start wrestling. I'm having a great time. My first collegiate match, I blew my ACL.
Jeez. I remember that. That was like a couple of years ago or a year ago?
Almost going on 2 years. I blew my ACL out. My first collegiate match, first 30 seconds against some kid from Cal Poly.
Jeez.
Boom, done, out for 6 months. I come back February, wrestled one match. I redshirted, wrestled one match, won that match. Off-season came, and I started training for my fights. But at the same time, the U.S. Open for wrestling was right around the corner, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll go test it out. I go to the U.S. Open, and my second match, I'm wrestling some kid from Michigan. Boom, I blew my shoulder out.
Jesus, so you've had some tough luck. And you know what? We should talk about that because injuries are part of this physical sport, right? Including Jiu Jitsu.
Completely.
I mean, I did it and I broke a thumb. I don't know if you could see it here, but this thing doesn't look right. But everything hurts. And there's a joke if you do, Jiu Jitsu at my age.
Your fingers,
it's a mess. So that's part of it. And
the injuries play
even if you're a novice or a hobbyist,
whatever it is, competitor, hobbyist, novice, whatever it is.
So you got injured, and this led to you quitting.
No.
Okay.
So that's not. I battled a lot of athletes go through this when they get hurt. Is they end up battling a lot of depression and anxiety.
Okay.
And I have struggled with anxiety my whole life, and I'm not afraid to speak about it because I'm very comfortable. With it.
Yeah, I mean, if you could help someone,
and I've learned how to cope with it as well. So for my people battling anxiety and depression, you're not alone. You're not alone, for sure.
Let's talk about anxiety first. Mm-hmm. What does that do for an athlete, or what does that do for a kid your age?
It makes them second guess themselves. Okay. It makes them second guess themselves when they're out on the court, out on the field, out on the mat, if what they're doing is really right. And even when they're off the mat, it makes them second guess what they're doing. Is it benefiting their game? When in reality, it could be the smallest thing that doesn't even matter. And it drives them almost insane.
Okay.
Almost insane, because your thoughts just continuously run and run and run until you find a way to cope with it and you just relax.
Aside from marijuana, what's a good way to cope with it?
You just have to learn how to be comfortable with yourself.
Okay.
It's learning how to get comfortable with yourself in whichever manner. Because people like, oh, do this, do that. So, use this substance.
Yeah,
but I don't believe in that.
I'm not big on substances.
No, not at all.
But let me ask you, you mentioned jiu-jitsu from a young age, how to like cope, how to relax, how to breathe, etc. Has that helped with 100%?
And that's my getaway. That's my getaway from my anxiety and my depression. It's the jiu-jitsu that helps with that. And of course, the people around me as well, but jiu-jitsu specifically because I just forget about everything.
So why did depression kick in? Because that's happened so much now with kids your age. And when I say kids, young adults, I should say, but also younger than you. And even though I'm older, I still have some followers that are younger.
Of course.
Because of, things that I've acquired or things that they like or whatever.
So the depression kicked in, and like I said, a lot of college athletes have gone through this, or athletes itself, or people who are non-athletes as well.
Yeah. It happens at all ages.
Of course. Yeah. I was on such a high coming into college because of my accolades. I was on such a high knowing that I am going to be a nationally ranked wrestler and potentially win nationals.
Okay.
And potentially be the next star at my college and all these factors. But the second it got taken away from me and life itself kicked in, and I didn't have my outlet, my output, what I do to get away from everything, it felt like my world just came crumbling down. The second I blew my ACL out, I was like, fuck, what do I do with my life now? And then
because you're sidelined for so long.
Exactly. I'm out for so long. And then better yet, my ACL's blown out. Then I get COVID.
Oh.
And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm done. I'm going to join the military. And that's when that came in.
Thought about it.
Right? Then I second guessed. I was like, okay, no, I'll stay, whatever. And then I blew my shoulder out. And I was like, fuck, dude, again, I'm really battling this again. And then this time I had surgery because of my shoulder. So I was out for even longer, doing PT and just making sure I was 100% so I can come back. And it just really took a toll on me mentally. And I didn't know how to cope with it at the time. And I would just go out. I would party. I would drink. I would smoke. I'd do all these negative things that was just backtracking.
And it would amplify.
And it just get worse and worse. With alcohol being a depressant and the smoking just making me think more.
Yeah.
And it just took a toll on me so much that by the time that I got back, not only was I so out of shape, but I just wasn't in the right mental space.
Of course, so to do anything positive.
To do anything positive. So I get back.
It's so hard to get out of that.
The cycle.
That cycle. Well, people that drink and do drugs, they mess up the next day.
Yeah.
In reality, because then you can't restart. No one wants to restart with a hangover, right?
Yeah.
So
it's learning how to. It's being able to manage how much you do of each. If you are to do it, I would say I have nothing against people when they do it, and whatnot. But it's just learning how to manage it, because when I was going through that and I finally did get cleared, I finally did get healed, and I started to wrestle again or just started to work out again itself, I was still in that mindset of I'm just go out and party.
For the people that are in that mindset, or your young age, young adults, etc., what is some advice? I'm sure depression leads to suicide thoughts. Suicide thoughts lead back to nowhere, or to really crazy things.
Right.
And listen, everybody has probably had them in their life.
Yeah.
So, but what got you out of there? What was, say, one or a couple things that you feel like would help somebody else if they're in that state? An athlete that
I got kicked off the wrestling team is what got me out of there.
Okay. So that really didn't depress you further.
It did, though.
It did?
So here's the thing. I was doing all the wrong things when I was hurt. I was going out and partying. I wasn't being the best student. And keep in mind, my junior, senior year, I had 4.0s at Reardon. I was doing great. I was I said, I was coming off a high. And then after getting hurt, I was doing all the wrong things. And my coach, he started to pick up on these things, and he called me out for it. And even when he called me out, it was almost as if I kind of just ignored it. And it's funny because I actually talked to him about it the other week. And because me and him are we're on good terms, and I have nothing but respect for the guy, and it's always love for the guy, despite the fact that I got kicked off. And I wish him nothing but the best, and the team the best, and I'm still gonna be there to support every single one of them. And who knows, maybe I'll get back on the team one day. Fingers crossed.
So you could still have that chance
for my last 2 years at least.
So coach kicked you off because you were effing up. That's really it.
In a sense. So I was effing up, and this big thing happened where I went out. I didn't have that many drinks, I didn't think, and then I woke up the next day with no recollection of what happened. And
we don't want to talk about that.
I won't dive into details about what happened. Yeah. But it led to me getting kicked off.
Trouble.
I wouldn't say trouble necessarily, because it wasn't like anything too crazy. I personally think it's funny what happened, because it is, and I'll tell you later. Yeah. But
people are gonna want to know what it is now. But right? I mean, if you don't want to share, don't share. This goes out there.
Yeah, I know.
Don't incriminate yourself.
It's not on that level, which is good enough. But it was like the final straw with my coach. Yeah, and it kicked me off the team. And when that happened, this one was a heat. Okay. When that did happen, it put me in a spiral. I packed up my room. I was ready to leave, and I was like, okay, I'm done with college, dude.
What did your dad say when this happened? He was pissed, or just disappointed?
So I didn't tell anybody besides the people who already knew. The next day I called Lucas and I was like, yo, like this just happened. What do I do? He's like, go to the hospital. Don't tell mom and dad yet, but just go to the hospital.
You had alcohol poisoning?
Pretty much.
I've had that before. It's not good.
But it was either that or it was roofie. I got roofing in my system.
You roofied yourself to take on somebody,
I got roofied by somebody else, of course, right? It was one or the other, because when they ran the test at the hospital, the following day, supposedly.